guess I should turn my phone off.
Happy Mother's Day. Be sure to tell your mom today how much you love her, because life is short. But when you do, scream it at her in German, because life is also confusing. Hello, Wattpad Nation. You're watching The Corner Booth. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Happy Mother's Day to all those incredible mothers out there who participate in Wattpad, I've met a lot of mothers on Wattpad. I think we have two of them on the corner of our panel. We got Michelle and we have Mary, who are both celebrating this holiday. So happy Mother's Day to both of you. It's just really wonderful to see, especially when they're on threads. They like kind of group together and they share their horror stories about being a mother. But I think Jane Selman said it best. She said, "Working mother is a redundant phrase." So there's something really, really true about that. So hats off to you, ladies. Please make sure that you either already have enjoyed this holiday and you're kind of looking back fondly, or that you still are. Here's a reminder: call your mom, tell her you love her. So tonight we are. I am actually broadcasting from Houston, Texas, by way of Richmond. So that's the reason for this decor that is not mine. But I do want to introduce this amazing panel for you tonight on our 8th episode, which is Who Did What in the Weird Now? Fearless Writing. And we have 4 incredible people for you tonight. I am going to start on the end with Miss Mary Tabor, and she's going to introduce herself a little like this. She's going to expand on her favorite things. And there is a condition to this. Every single thing has to rhyme. So she is going to kind of expand on, like I said, these 3 points. I'm working with a very different, like it's tailored because I'm traveling. So she is going to talk about her favorite quote, her favorite location, and by location I mean for vacationing or for living, favorite pastime. So Miss Mary Tabor, what do you got for us?
From my favorite Canadian poet, Leonard Cohen, from his song Anthem. The birds, they sang at break of day. At the break of day, sorry Leonard, at the break of day, start again, I heard them say, don't dwell on what has passed away or what is yet to be. Location, Parrot Key. Pastime, climb a metaphorical tree.
That's brilliant. I love it. And Mary has been talking about how this month is National Poetry Month, correct?
April was National Poetry Month.
Oh, wow. I'm like, to give you guys like a little feedback. All right,
We're
so
currently in May.
I was an hour off like today. I've been jumping time zones, so everything's been super crazy. And then now like I'm off like a complete month. This is how crazy life has been. So I apologize about that. But that was kind of like an homage to National Poetry Month, I guess. So I am going to bounce over to Miss Michelle.
Okay, I don't know if I did this correctly now because I broke mine up.
Right?
Okay. All right, here we go. Favorite quote. Okay, I have a few faves, but one in particular is by the Eleanor Roosevelt. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Okay, that's one of my faves. Favorite location. Now, I did do rhyme on this. Okay, the mountains are home where I can wear my boots and roam. On the mountainside, my heart abides, and my soul flies, it flies.
See, okay, Mary, Michelle, she was talking about the fact that she wrote a country song at one point in time. You can make that a country song. What's your last one?
Okay, all right. Favorite pastime? I write at night, the dark has moved in, when I'm able to compose haunting tales of sin. At times, the words are of adoration and love, and others, darkness that slithers from under and above.
That got like really dark, really fast. And I do want to introduce our special guest panelist, one of my favorites in the entire world as far as Wattpadders are concerned. She is part of the Wattpad 4, which meets on Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where they do a Twitter chat that's available for anybody who would want to participate. It is the undeniable, uncomparable Rebecca Sky. Would you like to share your 3 points with us tonight, Miss Rebecca?
Okay, my favorite place is Ireland, though I've never been, but I hear it's a great place for loudmouth redheads to blend in.
Ooh.
When I'm not reading, I'm probably reading. Here's my favorite quote from Shel Silverstein. Listen to the mustn'ts, child, listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossibles, the won'ts. Listen to the never-haves, then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child, anything can be.
Ooh.
Hey.
Thank you so much. Yeah, seriously, I'm like, wow, that was like really good. Thank you, Miss Rebecca. And we do have a new panelist that will be rotating with some of these familiar faces that you keep seeing over and over. His name is Thomas Bonnick. He also goes by Fifth Project, with is actually spelled with a 5. It's clever. I kind of like it, you know. He is an incredible poet. He does an amazing vignette series, if you haven't read his joke book, LOL, I definitely think that you should pick it up. It's fantastic. We have had a lot of really great banter back and forth on Wattpad message boards and private messages as well. But when I finally got to meet him in person, this is in person for me. When I finally got to meet him, I mean, it just really floored me. Mr. Thomas Bonnick, would you expand on these 3 points and please make them rhyme, sir?
Excellent. But before I do that, can I just do one little thing here? I would like to send a quick shout out on behalf of the Wattpad community, my men community, and say a quick Happy Mother's Day. I would just like to do that on behalf of all the men in my personal community on Wattpad. Okay?
Fantastic.
In regards to rhyming, I'm not sure I can do the rhyme. I'll start by saying my quote. I'm not good at rhyming, you know that, Matt. It's by Maya Angelou. It's there's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. That's my quote. My pastime is basically trying to convince my daughter that it's good enough to publish. Most of my poems, she's 11, but you know they know everything, right? So it's never good enough to be published. So that's my favorite pastime, trying to convince her that, of course, it's ready to be published. My favorite place would be where I live. I really like where I live. I live about 15 minutes outside of Toronto. It's called Whitby. It's great for family. It's great for kids. It still is a bit green, and it's just the perfect setting to raise your family. And,
Thomas, actually, right now you are a bit green.
Well, there you go. That's why I live in Whitby. I'm just representing, right?
And yes, that is probably, I mean, I hope that everybody watching right now can hear that amazing accent of his. I could just listen to you talk all day, brother. Like, seriously, it's awesome. It's like, wow, this is like, I think everything you say, because I've read a lot of Thomas's work, and I'm blown away by it, but when I actually heard him talk and then he kind of expanded on some of these things that he's written about, I'm just like, wow, if I would actually hear him read, it'd be like Morgan Freeman or like James Earl Jones. You know, I mean, it's like in that kind of same vein. But yes. So thank you so much for being on this panel, the 4 of you. I feel very fortunate just to be, you know, a part of this, and you all make it very much worth it. Without further ado, we are going to go to the next part of the broadcast. My favorite part of the broadcast. It's called Cream or Sugar, and it's where we actually put Wattpadders like you in the spotlight from this amazing panel. They're reading your work, and they love you. So we're going to start this time with Miss Michelle Hayes. And what do you got for us for Cream or Sugar?
I have a cream this week, and it is a book called Breaking Free by, wait for it, Carly. She has definitely exuded fearless writing with this. The story from the very beginning transports you to this place where you're suffocating with oppressive fear. The protagonist is in danger from the very first chapter. It is mature, with passages that touch on topics that are lined with serious abuse. I chose this story because Carly is pushing herself, writing, and she's not holding back. The story is of someone that is bound in darkness, but she is rescued and soon prevails. It's a good book. It's definitely falls into the category of.
She's awesome. Yeah, absolutely. You hit it right on the head, Michelle. Seriously, she's so good.
It falls into the category of fearless writing. Hats off to her.
Very much so. Miss Rebecca Sky, who do you have for cream or sugar tonight?
I have both. So my sugar is Kavina Foyatatter. Sorry if I said that wrong. 29 Sticks and Lady Dawn. Those three ladies have been such blessings to me. I can't tell you the amount of times they've cheered me up.
Awesome.
Very awesome.
And I love, I think, oh man, I think it was 29 Sticks. It was one of them especially, and I'm sorry that I can't remember it. It all kind of gets jumbled in my head. But one of those three is just, I know that I've talked to them on a personal level, or at least through threads. I guess that's as personal as you can kind of get at points. But this is my best friend, Jamie. So say hi to her. She just brought me coffee. That's freaking amazing. So thank you so much, Jamie. She's I don't know how many people have ever seen the show Dawson's Creek, but she is kind of like my Joey. She is the person that climbed through my window, and we would just kind of talk all night and stare at the ceiling for hours. Like that's my best friend. So yeah. Sorry about that, people. But yes, I just want to kind of expand on the fact that the three people that Rebecca had mentioned was the sheer fact that these people, they reach out to you, and that was a thing. That person reached out to me and started a conversation right off the bat. And I thought there was something so wonderful about that. So yes, thank you so much, Rebecca. Miss Mary Tabor.
I'm going to go back to a poet first, Graffer. And Graffer has been on Wattpad for 3 years, writing poetry and prose poems. From Freefall, a brief collection of her poems, I highlight Sisyphus Rock, a remarkable exploration into the philosophical question of the endurance of the soul. And I'm going to quote her here, "This cold, hard season of the soul." In drawing Frank, Graffer is a visual artist. She also paints in words. And I now would like to shout her out to the orangutan and to Zoe Denovi. Take a look at this poet's work. Her prose is gorgeous flash work, poems, prose poems, in fact. Drawing Frank, the eponymous title of the collection here is like this. We have the meeting between sepia and reality, a stunning close that is earned through details of the way the drawing gets made. Her words paint, and I am drawn into memory, into connection, and a sense of time past and lost, yet held. My second is for Mother's Day, and also for someone who's a really wonderful writer on Wattpad. At Fairy Tale Fabler is the lovely Alicia Britton, and she has written something that I have loved from the get-go. It's entitled Emily Rose, A Pregnancy Story. In her latest update, her daughter Emily Rose is almost 3. This new edition that she did just this week for Mother's Day is layered with the love of motherhood, the foreshadowing of Emily's departure as a woman, the much demanded mother's need to individuate, and then get this, and then we know that Emily Rose is going to read this wisdom when she herself so needs to part from her own mother, whom she holds dear. A thought for all of us on this Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, and thank you, Alicia.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing those, Mary. That's great. Mr. Thomas Bonnick.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly share 3 people. I just want to highlight 3 people that I have here. I won't go as in-depth as Mary did. Number 1 would be Angel of Darkness. She goes under Angel of Darkness _X. Her work is just amazing. She's very, very brave. If you read her stories, you just cannot stop by reading just one. You want to go on and on and on. She's very brave. I really like her stories, and I just figured I would highlight her on this program. There's Zoe, Z-O-I-E-S, Zoe's 2. She wrote this, she has this book, it's called Battle Cry, and her work, again, is amazing. She's very brave. Again, she's unstoppable. I also chose her as one of the person I would like to highlight. There's also Alex Paul / creations. He has a lot of books, and he covers everything: short stories, poems. He's very smart, very witty, and again, he's very supportive. He's all over Wattpad. He's reading, he's commenting, and he's just a great guy. He's my third person that I want to highlight in this segment.
Thank you so much, Thomas. That's great. Yeah, absolutely. I know that I've come across Angel Darkness, the one with the underscore, and then of course Zoe's too. She's
yes.
Incredible. So now I want to, I hope that everybody that got those shout-outs, that you really do enjoy them, but it also brings us to our next part of the broadcast called the entree, the meat of our discussion. It is, it's going to get a little hairy tonight, I think. So I want to just get this kicked off with question number 1. Every writer wants to be remembered. However, in hopes to achieve a lasting impression, many fall into a trap of not only crossing the line, but continuing to move in a direction which turns off readers. Have you ever gone a little too far? How would you come back? How would you advise another writer who has gone off the deep end? And this time I am going to start with Mr. Thomas Bonnick.
Well, gone off. I haven't received any messaging suggesting that. I try to be most respectful whenever I write. I try to take everything in consideration. In fact, there are certain pieces I'll write like one off and it's ready to go. Sometimes I'll write it 6 times, depending on the subject, right? There's one piece I actually posted and I asked not to vote on that piece because I know it was so sensitive. So I try my very, very best to not offend anyone in any way. So I haven't received anything like that. If you received some sort of note saying that you offended someone, you're going off track, I would reach out to that person who made that comment, whether it's through private messaging or otherwise, and make sure I clarify what their concerns are, and do everything I need to do to fix that. Because my intention is never, ever to offend anyone. So that would be my advice. If you find that you offend someone, it's your I think it's your responsibility to reach out to that person and make sure you fix that problem.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Miss Rebecca Sky.
Well, I don't want to be contrary to you, but I don't write to be remembered. I write because I love storytelling, and writing happens to be the best vehicle for that. But if a reader or somebody who found me happens to remember me, that's just a nice bonus. But to answer your question, I think it's actually pretty subjective because what might be appropriate for me to write or what I feel is okay for me with my value system, somebody else might not feel the same way. And same for readers. Some readers will find it's okay to read something, but they won't feel comfortable reading something else. If you take like Anna Todd's success, for instance, with her After series, she's had huge success, and she has hundreds of thousands of fans who have been touched and moved, and their lives changed from this book, but she does have people telling her she's gone too far as well. So it's always the controversy, like, well, if you push too far for people but you really touch their lives, then, you know, is it a problem, or is it in fact too far? So yeah, it's for what I do when I feel like maybe I'm walking the line or somebody I know is walking the line. I put through a series of questions like, what's your purpose in when you're writing this? Are you writing for fun? What's your goal? What's the message you're trying to get across? And just fire through those kind of questions, and you should get your answer. You should be able to know if you're writing in your comfort zone, if you're pushing the limits, if you're just going to gain popularity, or if you're writing because it's actually the story and the characters that are demanding to be told. So
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. No, and okay, so you don't really have to apologize at the very beginning. I want everybody to know that I am going to say the wrong thing every once in a while. Well, probably more than every once in a while. But if somebody like doesn't agree with it, please just like tell me. That's perfectly okay. Yes, and that was kind of a general statement. I know that it's not everybody. That was just kind of me being, you know, presumptive. But I do want to tell everybody that even though that all of these opinions are in fact opinions and that they are subjective and things like that, that doesn't mean that you don't have anything to take away from them. You might not agree with every single thing this person says, but I'm hoping that you get a little bit of the content away from it. Hopefully you are. If you don't, if you're like completely confused or baffled by the answer, why don't you talk to these people on Wattpad? I guarantee you they'll give you an answer, even if it's especially if you're confused. They will like straighten it all out. If you don't agree with something, I'm sure that they would be open to that as well. If you just kind of do it in a classy way, not kind of like, oh, I can't believe you said that. You suck so hard. Blah blah So anyways, I digress. Miss Mary Tabor, could you answer question 1 for us?
I'd like to build on Rebecca's answer. I agree very much with what you said, Rebecca, and I say go for the jugular. Any writer worth his salt bleeds on the page. And for the young writer, and there are so many of you on Wattpad, I'd like you to consider Fitzgerald's advice given in 1938 to a woman named Frances Turnbull. You can find this in his letters. She was at Radcliffe and she wrote to him and he wrote her back. And here's what he said: you've got to sell your heart, your strongest reactions, not the little minor things that only touch you lightly, the little experiences you might tell at dinner. This is especially true when you begin to write, when you have not yet developed the tricks of interesting people on paper, when you have none of the technique which it takes to learn. And when, in short, you have only your emotions to sell. That's F. Scott Fitzgerald, and he's a pretty good teacher on this. This is the takeaway, though. Okay, this is the takeaway, though. Your stories have to matter to you before they can matter to anyone else. And that means pushing against the rules, jumping into the deep end, because that's where you are transformed, and that's where your reader will be transformed as well.
This is the part where everybody in the huddle's like, Mary, Mary, Mary.
If I can quickly say something here also, the thing is sometimes I do write other people's stories. Sometimes I try to tell other people's story. So it can get to the point where I offend someone reading that story or even the person that I'm telling that story about. Maybe in a short story, maybe in a poem. So I do appreciate and agree with what Rebecca and Mary said. But also, if you're writing if you're representing someone else, you also have to be sensitive to the way you present their story. So I'm coming from that angle also.
Very true. No, I agree with you. It should be, especially if you're drawing inspiration from somebody it's obvious that you're drawing an inspiration from this person, and then it kind of comes back.
It may be from a current affairs situation I'm pulling my story from. It may has to do directly with someone.
You did one recently on that. And I talked about it on the show.
Right. So, yes.
Absolutely. Miss Michelle Hayes.
Okay. I share the same thoughts as Rebecca and Miss Mary. I don't feel like I've ever crossed the line, per se. The advice I would give another writer, however, is to recover as gracefully as possible. Write for you, bottom line. Not everyone is going to play fair, and remember to hold yourself with respect.
Very true. Very, very true. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. You know, Mother's Day. I'm gonna thank you. I'll thank you plenty of times. You know how it is. No, all great answers. Thank you so much. As you can tell, these panelists, they put a lot of thought into these questions. This week was a little bit of a crunch. I kind of put them in a bad position. They only had about 24 hours to think about these. Usually they have a few days. But it's been a really, really crazy week. I've driven about 25 hours in the last 5 days, so it's been crazy. But now that brings us to question number 2. Sometimes you have to block out the opinions of others in order to keep moving forward with your story. Some readers might say, this doesn't make sense, or I don't like this. When should you write fearlessly? Also, when should you pull back? Miss Rebecca Skye, would you like to kick this one off?
Oh, you're gonna hate. I think that there's no difference between writing fearlessly and taking feedback. I think your very first draft as a writer, like for me anyways, I try to shut off my inner critical voice and the outside critical voices. I try not to worry about what people will think about me if I write this. My first time writing through something, I just try to focus on the characters and the story and what they're telling me and what I'm seeing, and I go from there. But I understand when you share that work to an audience, like all of us are doing on Wattpad, you have a responsibility to your audience. And I think if they're telling you they're not understanding something, you need to listen to that. Or if they're telling you that something's offending them, I go right back to my questions. Is what they're saying adding to the story? Is what they're saying adding to the message? Is what they're saying adding to what I want to do with this story? And if the answer is yes, then I think you'd be silly not to listen and not to take that feedback. I think the reader's feedback is one of the greatest tools for a writer to improve. So while I think you first need to write for yourself, and the characters, I do definitely think you need to take into consideration the people you're sharing that work with.
Absolutely, and the fact that you can do that on Wattpad so readily,
Yeah.
with if you were just publishing a regular manuscript like the traditional way, like most writers have done in the past, then you actually have to complete the manuscript, or at least a good portion of it, and then submit it to beta readers or somebody that you trust implicitly. But with Wattpad, you have like a huge pool of just I think it's probably the best sample or focus group that money can buy, and you're not even paying for it, so it's pretty incredible. I'm going to go to your lipstick twin, Miss Michelle Hayes. Michelle, you are on mute, just to let you know.
Oh, gee, she can't hear you, I guess.
Oh, she can hear me. She can hear me.
Oh, she can?
Oh,
Okay.
she can hear me.
Sorry. I've been sniffling over here, so I didn't want everybody to hear me sniffling.
I'm sure it's adorable sniffling.
Oh, yeah. Okay. While I value constructive criticism as well as my readers' opinions, I also know that the story is coming from me, from my soul, from my heart. I do take the criticism into consideration, though, when I revisit for revisions and so on. With that being said, if they don't like it, I have to respect it, but it will not alter my way of writing or stop me from the way I compose. We as writers have to respect the element of various styles of writing. I think everyone should write fearlessly. Why write if you're constricted? Period. This is your gift, your baby, your idea that bloomed within you. Write that story the way you would like to. Renounce the idea of writing within the limits.
I love it.
Well, thank
I love
you.
that line. Can you repeat that last line? Because that was awesome.
Renounce the idea of writing within the limits.
Yeah, that's so good. Renounce. I just like that word for some reason. Oh, we're going to go over to Thomas Bonnick. What do you got for us there?
I think what I try to go for with my writing in most cases is balance. I use balance. I write whatever I want to write, in most cases, however I want to write it. I did mention before that I do go back, and if I offend anyone, I'll deal with that. But I try to strike a balance. I write a serious piece, or in fact, 6 serious pieces, and then I'll throw in a few lighter pieces, right? Because another thing I don't want to be known as is that guy that's writing sad. So try to strike a balance just to come across as being a fair person. So if I sometimes come across as if I'm picking on a certain theme, topic, I balance with something lighter. And if you go to my work, you'll find that. So that's how I deal with that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. Balance is important. I think that a lot of people, it's not underrated, people, or overrated. It's something that's definitely necessary, and the fact that you're very conscious of it is, I mean, it's very apparent in your writing that you do take a lot of, I guess you're just a very conscious writer all the way around, Thomas. Miss Mary L. Tabor.
Well, I hope I'm going to be building on these terrific comments from all 3 of you here. My first comment is that you should consider the source. If the writer herself is writing fearlessly, I would take another look. But then this is why we go into workshop. And I want you to remember that Wattpad is a little bit like a workshop in that our work is being evaluated and critiqued as we write it. So the important thing here, and my advice is, and this is, I feel this really strongly, never write to the common denominator. You don't want a story that is written by a committee. You don't want to please all your readers, and you don't want to fear their reaction to invention. The result is what I would call the competent story, the competent poem, or the competent lyric, and that is not what we hope for. I say, take the advice of the French philosopher Edmond Jabez. If there is no risk, guys, he didn't have guys in there, there is no writing. To risk means a willingness to fail, and I mean that in the best sense. There is no invention that has ever occurred without failure. The writer has to find his voice by selling his heart, and no toolbox of advice will achieve this. Risk it. Risk it all.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That was a little, yeah, you put a little mustard on that. That was delicious. He said something that was like incredible. I mean, well, all of it was incredible, like you always do. I don't know. Do you just like wake up someday and say, "I'm going to be amazing today"? I don't know how it is for
every day, right? That's me every day.
She just looks in the mirror and it's like, I'm awesome. No, but you said something really, really interesting about the common denominator. Can you expand on that? I mean, that's you selected that phrase, I think, very intentionally.
Yes,
but there's something very true about that.
It's a mathematical term, of course, having to do with fractions. But the fact is that we do not want to take all the criticisms that we receive when we write and group them together and try to please everybody. If you do that, you've lost your story. I'll go back to what Michelle said. What was that great line? Renounce the limits? Mm-hmm. Renounce the limits. Renounce them. One has to do that because that's essentially what a common denominator is, something that joins everything together and makes it please everyone. You can't please everyone.
Nope.
Very true. I'm sorry to feed the stereotype like Asian Wattpadders. I'm just like, ooh, math, that's so pretty. Okay, so anyways, moving on. We're going to pass the salt. It's a little part of the broadcast where we just add a little bit of extra flavor to it. It's honesty in 140 characters. But even if it's a little bit rigid, honesty is progress, people. So I'm going to start with Mr. Thomas Bonnick. What do you got for us in 140 characters or less, sir?
Are you picking on a new guy doing that?
No, not at all. Never. I'm just glad that we have like another Y chromosome in the mix. You know, I'm very pleased. Although I won't be somebody to complain. It's just like I've been the rooster in the hen house for the last couple episodes, and I'm not going to complain. Like, don't get me wrong.
Okay, I just have a one-liner here. If you're not inspired by those around you, you're in the wrong space.
Ooh.
Ooh, that is awesome! You say one-liner, I say like brilliant, dude. That's amazing.
And I do strongly believe that. I'm not just saying that. That is not something I read. That is my quote, and that's the way I live. I do believe that.
Oh man, that needs to be a mantra. You need to put that baby on a bumper sticker, buddy. Miss Rebecca Sky.
I'm going to quote that one. Yes. Okay.
I was just going to say generosity breeds more generosity. So if you're hoping to get feedback and critiques on your work, then give feedback and critiques on other people's work.
Brilliant. Love it, love it, love it. Miss Michelle Hayes?
Being fearless in writing is having the ability to take the plunge without knowing the depth.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, wow, that was awesome. I love that. Of course, I like anything that has to do with the water element, so I'm a little biased.
No, there's a bumper sticker for you.
Seriously, we need to get some of these like trademarked, honestly. Miss Mary Tabor, what do you got for us?
I leave the show for the summer to return to the novel I'm writing live on Wattpad entitled Passing Through. I leave you with this. Be fearless. Shoot for the moon.
I love it. Shoot for the moon, because even if you miss, you'll land amongst the stars. That was something that I read in gym class because I was terrible at gym. So like, I spent a lot of time just kind of like being self-loathing. So thank you. I hope that we do see those amazingly brilliant salt things. I'll try to post them online this week. It will have a hashtag that says #salt, and your little names, your little monikers are going to show up there. I will start putting details, informations, in the about the panels in the episode descriptions. I know that I haven't been doing that lately. Like I said, things have been a little crazy. But we are to the part of the broadcast called Check Please, and it's just a wrap-up of the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. It seems like we're running super early, so that gives us a chance to field some questions. And we got a great mailbag question for a couple of people, and then we also have TCBWatt, the hashtag, on Twitter. We have a couple of those questions too that we'd like to answer. But I do want to get to this one, and Thomas, I am very actively interested about this, and I know Mary is too. This is coming from @Cora2.
Show that clip again. Show that.
Yeah. He showed it to us at the top of the broadcast. Uh-oh. Hey, can anybody see Thomas?
No. Where did? Darn.
I didn't hear that.
You're skipping. Oh, there you are. You're blurry.
Oh no.
Okay.
Either that or Jamie spiked my coffee. I don't know what happened. You're blurry. What I would suggest is to X out of the window and then come back to the broadcast.
Okay, I'm turning off my iPad.
Oh, you're fine now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just shutting on my iPad. It may be.
No, don't do it. You're fine. You're fine.
No, my computer. My computer's on. My Wattpad maybe it's stealing my bandwidth.
I like how you said computer.
Yes.
Computer.
I think it would be amazing because like we have Thomas who has like an amazing accent. We had Tara Matheru has an amazing accent. It would be awesome if they got in a tickle fight. Like I think that would sound amazing.
Well, if he's going to turn off, let's go to Rebecca's question.
I'm done. I'm done here. I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right. Yes. Can you pull up your mug that you had?
Oh, my mug. So because I'm a new guy, I did not get an official mug. So I went to the dollar store and I purchased a mug for $1 and I made my own. Here it is.
Welcome to the club.
Man, Thomas, like I want to make one now. You just went to the dollar store?
Aw, happy Mother's Day, sweet. Well, what is this, like episode 8 or something?
This is episode 8. We're almost on episode 9.
Crazy. I don't have a mug. I don't have a mug.
Well,
I know. I'm sorry.
Getting the bid for that night.
None of us here.
I know.
I don't go for the summer, and I don't have a mug.
Okay, so Miss Amanda Lai, you now have like a lot of people who want mugs, so I'm just gonna keep that in your court. I have no mugs to send you. I will send you my own if that will give you some sort of benefit. But just to get back to Cora 2's question, she asks very specifically, what's in a name? What are the pros and cons of anonymity on Wattpad, Mr. Thomas Romick?
Jeez, when I started here some time ago, I came under fifth project and also a different name. Thomas was changed recently. I did that because I wanted to keep everything I write private because it was, as I said before, a bit borderline private. I didn't want people at work and everywhere to search my name and find the content.
Oh, shoot.
Over time, I changed my name to. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, it's getting better, but it was skipping.
Yeah. Okay, so over time, I decided to change my name to my real name, Thomas. So I think it depends on what you write. I find that you're more credible if you use your correct name. And again, it depends on what you write. So for myself, I decided to use my correct name based on the genre that I find myself in. I want to come across as believable, as trustworthy. So I decided to use my real name. I mean, it works different for everyone. I think it's your personal choice if you want to use your real name or not. I don't see the advantage or disadvantage, but for me personally, I think you come across more credible if you use your real name.
Absolutely. And that's not to say like that you can't have a creative moniker. Thomas, he has @5th project, but if you go to a profile page, you can actually see his name.
Yes, I'm not hiding. You can tell I'm not hiding. I wanted to use that because I think it's catchy. I think it's memorable, and that's the main reason I use that. And plus, it's my 5th project, right?
Yes. I don't know. I lost count a long time ago. I'm gonna actually go over.
I don't know if I answered the question.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And Cora too, if you want to ask another one, please field another one. Seriously, we love getting that. This one is I'm gonna toss this over to Miss Mary Taylor. This is from @Rachel Mole. It's either Mole or Mole, or I'm sorry if I butchered that.
Oh.
And it's like a really easy name too. It's 4 letters. Mary, you say that your fiction often reveals more truths than your memoir. My main character has a disability I share. How would you suggest I distance myself enough to write the story I want to tell while putting enough of my soul into it to make it pure? I love this question.
I first of all want to say, Rachel, that I've been reading you since you sent me this question, and the /visibility, which if you go to her profile, you'll see this, about invisible chronic ailments or serious ailments that others do not really see but that are very serious, is revealed in her essays, and then she's doing something that is quite beautifully written in the piece that she's writing that I don't have the name handy, but go directly to her, and I've written a comment on it today because the writing is so gorgeous. So I'm not sure you need a lot of advice, but in terms of distance, let me explain it this way. The way to get distance is to understand the difference between catharsis and the attempt to make art. Catharsis is the pouring out of our angst. When my sister died at age 53, after a horrific battle to stay alive, it took time for me to be able, for her story and mine to become, I guess is a better way to say it. Time is the healer there. To get catharsis out of the way, I have a suggestion. Do a free write. That means you take your pen, you put it at the top of an 8.5 by 11 piece of line paper, or any kind of 8.5, any kind of blank piece of paper about 8.5 by 11, and you just write. You do refuse to pick your pen up from the paper. Don't pick your pen up. Do not think. Do not think about grammar. Do not think about form. Do not think about function. Do not think about subject. Do not think about anything. And write till you get to the bottom of the page, and then write a last line. Then type it up. Save it. Let it cool off. There will be fodder in there for the work that is to come. And then, when that free write is over and it's cooled, we need to read the best written stuff we can to learn. And then we need time to find the invention in order to shoot for the moon. And also, I have a quote, and you know how I love to quote.
What, Mary Tabor quoting someone? That's unheard of.
I want you and all our listeners here and everyone who chooses to bleed on the page on Wattpad to remember these wise words from Bernard Malamud. He said, "Some are born whole. Others must seek the blessed state in a struggle to achieve order. That is no loss to speak of. Ultimately, such seeking becomes the subject matter of fiction. Observing, reading, thinking, one invents himself."
Yes.
That
I
gave me
love
goosebumps.
that. Seriously, that's amazing. So good. I know that I had this quote. I'm still looking. I'm sorry. I know that it's from somebody that's very familiar to all of us. She goes by @RS Kovac. We know her as Rita. She actually had. I love the fact that she's so excited about this show, even though she's not on the panel this week. But she did have a question for Miss Rebecca Sky, and I'm pulling it up right now. Thank you so much, Twitter, for loading. In it says, oh man, it was right here. @Rebecca Sky, how has Wattpad changed, for better or worse, in the last 5 years since you first joined?
Very large question. When I think Wattpad maybe had 15 or 20 staff, and now they're in the triple digits. And yeah, so that means that there's new areas that they're working on: social media, publishing, media, lots of really cool things, and they're trying to get avenues for writers to actually make money on the site, and that's something that's really exciting to me. And they've started off with a few things like people can pay for bonus content or donate to the authors they like, and they've started unrolling that with a couple of authors. I know Monica Sands, who goes under Distant Dreamer. You can buy her book on Wattpad. It's a phenomenal book. Check it out, Finvara Circus.
Finvara Circus.
Yeah, it's so good. And I just know that they're really trying to bring exposure to up-and-coming writers because the site has grown so much. It is really hard for new people to get as exposed as quickly. So yeah, that's right back to connecting. So don't just come on, put your work on the site because you're going to be lost with the 40 million users on there. But you come on and connect, join the clubs, get to know other writers, and that way you can start getting your work out there. There's so many cool contests and such. And yeah, I'm really excited where Wattpad's going because they're really trying to do everything they can for their authors and keep the community a positive community and support literacy. Like, how awesome is that? People who can't afford buying books or can't afford, doing things like that, who have cell phones, can now read for free in world countries. And it blows my mind the impact that Wattpad has had globally. And I'm pretty stoked to be a member still after 5 years, and I feel really lucky to be part of this community. And I think
A member? You're like a figurehead, girl. What are you talking about? Crazy. That's just crazy.
You're a brand of your own, Rebecca.
Seriously. Just
Rebecca
awesome.
Brand.
Yeah, and
also,
Rebecca, thank you again for being here.
also, she defines generosity in the way she reads others. That's a really important thing to remember, that as Rebecca with some zillion, bazillion followers is still reading and commenting and generously being sweethearted and good-hearted. And I am personally in love with Rebecca.
Ah, yes.
I second that.
She has the love curse. It's so crazy. The love curse is not fiction. It's a non-fiction story.
I got the doctor too, and whoever I kiss with it falls in love with me.
Oh man, I'm telling you. Oh wow. Okay, so anyways, thank you so much for being on this panel, Rebecca. Thomas, welcome to the corner booth. I do hope that Rebecca, you do come back. I know that you have kind of I want to say kind of crescendoed, I guess, with your writing on Wattpad. So I guess the question that I have for you, especially because if you didn't know, Rebecca, we have kind of an interesting history. Rebecca does this thing every single month with the Wattpad 4. It is the Wattpad like share your story kind of thing where they pick out a story. They usually have a guest panelist, kind of like what we do here. And this guest judge picks out like one of their selections. So essentially what you do is you submit your story to one of the Wattpad 4, which is either Rebecca Skye, Aaron Latimer, Leah Crichton, or Monica Sands. And once you do, they take a couple days, they read like your first or second chapter, something like that, and then they take it all into consideration. Now, mind you, they get a lot of submissions, but they read them all, and then they select their individual favorite. Now, those 4 favorites go to their guest judge, and then that guest judge selects, the grand winner, and they get a bunch of Wattpad swag. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out because it's awesome. Rebecca Skye actually picked my story, which I was just like over the moon. That was crazy. But I just kind of wanted to ask you, when you first started, because having a Wattpad tenure of 5 years, I can only imagine that your whole mentality has either shifted or grown or just encompassed so much more that you could have ever possibly imagined when you said, hey, I want to sign up for Wattpad kind of deal. Can you share kind of the experience of what it's been like to be on from something so small to something that's almost a Wattpad household name?
Well, thank you. The story is actually interesting because I always loved writing, but I was not very good at it in high school. My English teacher told me I was her most creative student, and she was referring to my spelling and grammar. And I signed up for creative writing, and I was so excited. I did my first project, and I came to the court, and the professor asked us to read it in front of the class, and so I excused myself to the bathroom, and I never went back. So I was so afraid of sharing my stuff with anybody because I didn't think it was good enough. And so when I found Wattpad, my brother actually, he was a reader on it, and he's like, you gotta try posting something on here, because we didn't have TV growing up, and I would always make up stories for them, my siblings. And so I started posting the story. I posted under a pen name, LJ Michaels. I told everybody I was a guy, so it was so far removed from after a month, I had 200,000 reads on this book, and I was like, oh my goodness. So I decided to, actually, hi, I'm Rebecca, and but for me, Wattpad has always been about community. I've learned so much about writing from fan and reader comments and other authors who have taken it upon themselves to really help me out when I first started, and that's why I just really feel like it's writing isn't my right, it's my privilege, and I would like to help as many other people get that privilege as they can and that exposure if I can do that. So that's why we do the Wattpad 4 stuff, and that's why we try to help get as many other people that exposure as they can get.
Absolutely, and it's such a great cause because it puts, they do a shout out with all of these selections, and they have, a few followers, and you get shouted out to all of these people that are on Wattpad, everyone who's following one of the four, or they always get like a heavy hitter for their guest judge. Natasha Preston actually was the guest judge for me, and it's a really incredible experience. I highly recommend you do it. Rebecca, actually on her page, she has all the information available for you, so it's all there. It's all right there. But I do want to say something. This is something that I got. It's a tweet that's on hashtag TCBWatt, and it's from Ollie Fern, and it was about 5 days ago. But this is just so cool, and I need to share it with you all. Maybe it's a little bit cheeky, but I'm turning TCB Watt episodes into MP3s so I can listen while I travel to work. Latest one gave me some good ideas. That is awesome. So thank you so much for kind of making our broadcast a podcast. That is super awesome, Mr. Ollie Fern, or Miss Ollie Fern if you're using the dude name and you're actually a girl. But I do kind of want to...
He's a guy.
Oh, he is a guy. Okay, so I got that one right then. I do want everybody to know.
Nice guy.
Yeah. Oh, so you know him?
I do. I virtually know him. I virtually know him. He's from Brazil. He's now living in Britain. He writes some gorgeous stuff. You should read him. I think it's Ollie Redfern.
Okay. Fantastic. So thank you so much for doing that, Ollie. That's just really, really cool. Now to kind of expand on what Rebecca had just said, she was talking about helping other people and how it's important to give back to the community. I want to say this week we are going to give away another Wattpad mug, and the way that you do it is by telling us about a person on Wattpad who has helped you using our hashtag TCBWatt. Use it on Twitter, use it on Facebook. You have until midnight on Wednesday, and we will select a winner at random from that. But please tell us who has helped you, because we want to know these people. It's so uber important. And that takes us to the fact that we have just completed episode 8. Congratulations, panel. We are looking forward to episode 9, which will be coming to you next week, same time, same great channel. I'll have to remember that I am in Central Time. I promise I'll remember. The light bulb and the light switch. Ideas and hindrances. So if you've ever had that bright, shiny new idea, or you've had that one moment where you just hit the wall and then you don't know if it's a good thing that this bright, shiny new idea is in your life or if it is a bad thing. So we really look forward to seeing you all next week. Miss Rebecca Sky, thank you so much for being with us. I do want everybody to know that all of this it's been promoted constantly by the amazing people at Wattpad headquarters, and they do this thing called hashtag Just Write It. It's a pledge where you write 10,000 words in 30 days. And Rebecca, what theme are they doing this month?
Leading ladies.
Ooh. Okay, so I do want Rebecca to kind of expand on what they do tomorrow night at 8 p.m.
Oh, hi. You're good. Okay, yeah, we just have a really cool community on Twitter when we tweet out questions and everybody answers and we all interact and talk about it. And I believe tomorrow's theme is the heroine's journey, how Hollywood writes heroine stories. And so we're going to take you through the different plotting devices that they do for female lead characters.
And it's so much fun because you actually get to interact with not only the Wattpad 4, but so many incredible Wattpadders that they have incredible ideas. A lot of them they make me laugh, and it's a really cool community. It happens very fast. That hour goes by really fast, and yeah, they put out a question about every 15 minutes, and then everybody has a chance to answer it. And then people reply to other people's tweets, and I mean, I'm kind of guilty of sending out those the GIFs, and but it's just so much fun, and that's really where Rebecca and my friendship kind of took off, because we found out that we have kind of the same twisted humor, and at times, like, Rebecca's really sweet, and so sometimes she says things that are like really borderline, wow, I can't believe that was naive, but then I think, okay, this is the girl that wrote the Cheaters Club. She's not that naive. She's not that innocent kind of deal. So, yes, please join us tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitter to talk about leading ladies, and it's kind of important. It's kind of a big deal right now. You see things like Katniss Everdeen. I mean, I'm sure that you've heard of that chick. And you also see things like, I don't know how many people have seen the new Avengers. If you haven't, go see it because it's amazing. But Scarlett Johansson, she has some pretty amazing scenes in that. And not only is she an incredible actress who has a ridiculous range, you're talking about somebody who can be in a Woody Allen film and who also can be the Black Widow. I mean, that's ridiculous. But I think it's kind of screaming, we want a Black Widow movie because she is crazy good. But the fact that, it's not over, or it's not completely out of the ballpark to think, wow, we could actually do something with a female hero or heroine. Just the fact that women are strong and they deserve to be put in the spotlight in the same way that men have for so long. But if you do it the wrong way, if you do it to where it's almost like you're kind of overreaching with this concept, or you're just kind of throwing it in people's faces like, we're women, we deserve to be respected, you're probably going to get a little bit of flack. If it's done with a little bit of class like Joss Whedon does, or with, the name is escaping me right now, but The Hunger Games, that author, Divergent with Veronica Roth, I believe that is her name. But these authors, they're putting women in a spotlight that I'm so glad they're finally getting, because I think that female heroes make some of the best ones, because they're usually very intricate and very deep, and they don't sit around and say, dude, man. I mean, it's just like, that's kind of a dude thing. But I do want everybody to know that we so appreciate all of your support with the Corner Booth. You make this thing run. This panel makes this thing run. I just kind of sit around and ask questions. So thank you so much, Wattpad Nation. We had such a great time. Panel, would you please say good night?
Good night.
Night.
Bye, guys. Have a great
Good
summer.
night.
Have a great summer.